represent is, this represents the statistical significance. If we want to test a drug and see if it is producing good difference from the control or not, so we perform the statistical analysis and we calculate the p-value, and if the p-value is statistically significant, then we consider that yes, the drug is showing some kind of effect. So you can see that from control, a large number of DNA damage was caused, DNA fragmentation was caused by cyclophosphamide, and on contrary, this this DNA fragmentation was kind of reduced by the piperlongumine. Similar results we observed in the hippocampus. And with the symbol, you can see there is only one symbol, and in the hippocampus there are two symbols. So these two symbols represent, that it's showing better effect. So piperlongumine was kind of showing better effect in the hippocampus. And it is visible by the percentage changes also. Like you can see, the cyclophosphamide plus piperlongumine, it was producing only 8% changes in the liver, but in the hippocampus it was kind of producing 17% changes, which is kind of good actually. So till this point, quantification of DNA fragmentation, one thing was clear, that piperlongumine is kind of reversing the DNA damage which is caused by cyclophosphamide. So, but how it is reversing the cyclophosphamide, how it is reversing the action of cyclophosphamide, the DNA damaging potential of cyclophosphamide, that also need to be answered. So I gathered a lot of evidence. I submitted various projects in the several government bodies, and they kind of gave me some fundings to invest and investigate whether this piperlongumine is able to counter the side effects of cyclophosphamide or not through a mechanistic approach. So this is a diagram. You can see I have made a pictorial diagram for your clear for your clarity. You can see that in rats, whenever there is a genotoxin exposure, that can be done by UV rays, IR rays, or whether any physical agents or anything else. In our case, this was cyclophosphamide. The cell membrane is very much interactive, like very much prone for the reactive oxygen species, and there's a lipid damage. Whenever there is the lipid damage, this further results in the formation of biomarkers like MDA and GSH, which are presenting that there is increase in the oxidation stress. However, along these primary pathways, there is like our biomolecules, they are prone to oxidation. So our DNA is also, like protein and DNAs, they are also prone to oxidation. So we all know that DNA is made up of nucleobase, which are ATGC, that is adenosine, guanosine, your thymine and uracil. Cytosine. So guanine is something, deoxyguanosine, which is present in our DNA. This kind of, it is a nucleobase which has the lowest ionization potential. So whenever there is overexposure of oxidative stress in the cells, this guanosine, it readily converts into a nucleobase, which we called as 8-hydroxy D-guanosine. This is a marker, 8-hydroxy 2-deoxyguanosine. It is a marker that that can be measured in the blood and in the tissues, that yes, there is DNA damage or DNA oxidation. So I wish to quantify this, like how much DNA damage is caused by this cyclophosphamide. So similarly, I tested in both liver and hippocampus. And again, we found that the piperlongumine was able to counter the genomic instability, which was more in the more prominently seen in the brain, and which is specifically in the hippocampus region. So first idea, till here we confirm that yes, piperlongumine is able to prevent DNA from being damaged by the exposure of cyclophosphamide. We tested various oxidative stress parameter also, like as I said that during genotoxin exposure, like reactive oxygen species, various like MDA levels, GSH levels, they kind of become they are being elevated in the cells, and which represents the oxidative stress markers. So I perform these tests in the hippocampus as well as in the liver. And like we saw, obviously by cyclophosphamide there was increasing amount of oxidative stress, there was increased level of MDA and GSH levels, which were counteracted by the piperlongumine administration. So lastly, what I wanted to do is I wanted to test the ultimate marker so that I can figure out whether my piperlongumine is able to act through the DNA or not. So we all know that what chromosomes are. We are like we have specific every species has a specific chromosome composition. What these chromosomes are, they are actually supercoiled form of DNA. And if we open up these chromosomes, we can say that the DNA is bounded over the nucleosome, and these nucleosomes contains many histone proteins. So whenever there is a DNA double strand break, a signaling pathway called as ATM and ATR activation is processed. And whenever this activation is processed, gamma, due to these histone proteins, there is phosphorylation of H2AX occurs, and which is converted into the gamma H2AX, gamma histone markers. So this gamma histone marker is it is a marker which represents that yes, there some form of DNA double strand breaks are done in the cells. So this gamma H2AX, this is commonly like observed in the tissue. So I was more kind of interested in the liver, as I said, in the hepatotoxicity and the brain toxicity, neurotoxicity. So what I did is I kind of uh, collected the tissue sample, the liver and the brain samples, and we made the slides. We cut the sections of this liver into some micrometers, and it's approximately 5 and 10 micrometers through a special apparatus called as microtome, and then we stain these slides with specific marker of gamma H2AX, specific antibody of gamma H2AX. So if there is any kind of damage or there is any kind of presence of this gamma H2AX in the liver slides, in the liver cells, or in the neuronal cells, then our antibody of this gamma H2AX will bind to the cells. So I'll quickly explain this. Like these slides are control slides. So in this you can see all the cells are blue in color. These are hepatocytes, the small blue cells you can see in the slide. And the control cells, they were all negative with the gamma H2AX. How come negative? How I am saying negative? Because the cells are not brown. If the cells are brown, that means that antibody has binded over on these cells. And why no antibody is binded on these cells? No antibodies are binded on these cells because there was no expression of gamma H2AX, which means there was no DNA double strand breaks. But see, in cyclophosphamide treated animals, you can see a large number of brown cells. What these cells represent, we actually quantify these cells. So what these brown color cells represent, that there is the antibody of gamma H2AX was binded to these cells, which imparted them the color brown, because we stain them with the browning color agent, and there are many staining agent like in the market, commercially they are available in the market, and you can choose any. So this one was like cheaper, so I went with this DAB staining. And then what we observed in the cyclophosphamide and piperlongumine treated group, we observed that some amount of these brownish color was kind of reversed by the piperlongumine treatment. So this was the test for gamma H2AX, which is a biomarker for DNA double strand break. We quantified this and we found the significant this is the hippocampus area. So hippocampus is like a beak shaped structure that can be observed in the slides, and this is the normal control cells, and you can see that these are actually the Purkinje cells which are arranged in the hippocampus. These are the neurons, and you can see that in the control slide no kind of no DAP staining was present, and it was negative for the gamma H2AX, which means it is negative for the DNA double strand break. But see see the cyclophosphamide cells, a large number of Purkinje cells are showing brown coloration, which means that cyclophosphamide is able to produce DNA double strand breaks in the Purkinje cells of the hippocampus, leading to cognitive deficiencies. And what this cyclophosphamide has done, like our piperlongumine treatment has done, somewhat reverse the expression of gamma H2X. And again we found a similarity. We found that piperlongumine was acted more significantly in the hippocampus region. And then so you can see a very colorful slide here. So this is a histopathological examination. As I have told earlier in my presentation, that we not only wanted to check the DNA stability, but we also wanted to check if our piperlongumine is able to is able to restore the normal microarchitecture of our liver and brain or not. For that we did a histopathological examination. We took out the liver, we made them into the slices of 5 micrometer and 10 micrometer, and then you can see this is the normal. The first slide is the normal liver. This is how the normal liver looks like. You can see it's the 10x magnification, and you can see the cells are very compactly arranged. And this one on the center, you can see it's a central vein of the hepatocytes around which all the cells are arranged. But when we observe the apoptotic cells, we observe the cyclophosphamide treatment cells, we observed a large number of anomalies in the liver. First we observed apoptosis. Obviously apoptosis was kind of expected, because what cyclophosphamide does is that damages the DNA and pushes the cells towards the apoptosis. So like you can see, this is the normal cell, but you can see the fragmented DNA here. The nucleus is not well preserved. In this cells you have to pay a little bit of attention to get this. In this cell also, the nucleus, the blue dot inside the cell is well preserved, but in this cell you can see that it's fragmented. Okay, so first we observed is the apoptosis, first marker. Then we see hyperplasia of bile duct. So all these bile duct got they got rearranged near the central vein, and there was very kind of hyperplasia of these bile ducts. And then you can see steatosis. What steatosis is? See these, it's a fatty deposition. You can see these vacuoles. You have to pay a bit attention. You can see these vacuoles. So it is a 40x magnification image. These steatosis is the fatty acid deposition, which is actually seen in the alcoholic liver also. That was observed with the cyclophosphamide treatment actually. And then see, this is the dilation of central vein. This is the 4x magnification. In the 10x, in the above slide, you can see that only the central veins are compactly arranged, and they are not dilated, but see it's so much dilated because of cyclophosphamide treatment. And see all the sinusoidal spaces. The liver is filled with the sinusoidal spaces. These are filled with the blood. That's causing hyperemia actually. Then a large number of inflammation was seen near the central vein. And these sinusoidal space, which you can see, they are so compact in the control slide, but they were so much enlarged due to the cyclophosphamide treatment. So many, like we observe many markers of liver damage by the cyclophosphamide, and all these markers are actually correlated with the patients. So in the patients who are receiving cyclophosphamide, if their liver is being tested after after post-mortem or something, then all these changes with the cyclophosphamide in the patients are also observed. So this represented that yes, my model was correct, and and the cyclophosphamide was showing was mimicking the same effects which were observed in patients. It's mimicking the same effects in the rats. So what piperlongumine is done, we actually kind of summed up all these markers, and we created a histological grading. And piperlongumine, with the piperlongumine slides treatment, the slides were much better than the cyclophosphamide. This was about the liver. We checked the architecture of hippocampus also. So as I said, hippocampus is actually a beak-like structure in the brain which consists of two regions, actually four regions. The one is the DG region, dentate gyrus, and the other is the CA1 region. So this is both DG and CA1 region. These are both the sub regions of our hippocampus. So you can observe that in the control slide there was no apoptosis, but in the cyclophosphamide treatment, see, these cells have become darkly stained with the nucleus, which shows that that high number of pycnosis or apoptosis was present, and this was kind of reversed by the piperlongumine treatment. So we counted all these cells and we plotted a percentage pycnosis graph, where we can observe that cyclophosphamide was able to uh, increase increase this percentage pycnosis, while this was reduced by the piperlongumine treatment in both CA1 region as well as in the DG region of the hippocampus. So both the slides, both histological examination of liver and hippocampus gave us a view that piperlongumine is not only able to reverse the DNA damage, but it is also protecting the microarchitecture of our tissue. We did the ultimate test, which is tunnel assay. Tunnel assay is something which is done to check the DNA damage. It is like putting a nail in the coffin. तो हमें tunnel assay से क्या पता चला कि it's the images are kind of in the different scale in the gray mode, so you can see, because it was giving more clarity in this way. So you can see cyclophosphamide, many dark color cells are present. These dark color cells are showing tunnel positivity, which represents DNA fragmentation, same which was observed in liver as well as in hippocampus. You can see cells near this, they all are brown colored, which represents the tunnel positivity. In piperlongumine also, the cells are kind of piperlongumine treatment. Some reversal was seen with the tunnel in the tunnel assay also. So I'll conclude this very quickly. You can see this is the schematic representation. You can see the preventive effect of piperlongumine against cyclophosphamide induced DNA damage. First, piperlongumine protected the formation of micronucleus, which gave us the primary indication that yes, cyclophosphamide like piperlongumine can have a preventive action against cyclophosphamide. And then in the rats also, in the liver and brain also, our piperlongumine was able to reverse the histopathological changes. It was able to counter the gamma H2AX expression. It was able to counter the 8-hydroxy D-guanosine formation, which was the result of DNA oxidation. And also piperlongumine was able to reverse the general genotoxic stress also. So this was kind of the experiments which are shown in our slide. This is what happening because of the piperlongumine. Piperlongumine is not only able to reverse the genomic instability, but it is also able to preserve the microarchitecture of our tissues. So we also did what I did is like students can have a glimpse on this slide also. I'll just quickly wrap this up. These are the biophysical studies. Like, as I'm again and again saying, that piperlongumine is something which is able to reverse the genomic instability. So we also wish to check if piperlongumine is interacting with our genome or not. For that, biophysical studies were conducted. And now I'll show you a simplest form of experiment. This is the fluorescence experiment. What we did is, in a test tube, we took the DNA, we added our drug in simple test tube, and then we tested the fluorescence of this complex. So when we tested only our DNA in the test tube, DNA has no intrinsic fluorophore. It is not a fluorophore. It has no intrinsic fluorescence property. So this when we took the fluorescence of DNA only, it kind of went flat in the fluorescence graph. And the fluorescence was not seen because DNA is not a fluorophore. But when we added the increasing concentration of piperlongumine with our DNA, we observed a decrease in the fluorescence quenching, in the fluorescence intensity, which is called as fluorescent quenching. And this quenching actually represents that yes, our piperlongumine is interacting with the DNA or not. And interactions can be good also, interactions can be bad also. But in the cell-free medium, we showed that the interaction of piperlongumine with DNA are good. They are not damaging our DNA. And this is a kind of uh, like many small experiments that can be conducted with the fluorescence in your lab fluorescence spectrometer. So the DNA is a double helical structure, and the compound, if it is interacting with DNA, whether it is interacting in the grooves or it is interacting inside the DNA, whether it is an intercalator or a minor groove binding agent, so we check that also. So in the first in the first group, we observed we took rhodamine blue dye, which is kind of minor groove binding dye, along with our DNA complex, and we added piperlongumine. So what we observed is quenching was seen. And methylene blue was also added. Methylene blue is kind of an intercalator. This was all conducted in a test tube containing only the DNA, methylene blue, and our drug. So in the presence of methylene blue, our drug do not showed any quenching or no fluorescence intensity reduction was observed. So that kind of shows that it is not a intercalator piperlongumine. It interacted with the rhodamine blue rhodamine B competitively, which shows that it can be a minor groove binding. But these all experiments were kind of done on the uh, fluorescence spectrometer, which is indeed a final say to my hypothesis that yes, it is interacting. But I kind of got a lot greedy, and I observed this in molecular docking studies. So you can see this is the structure of DNA, and the docking studies, the simulation studies shows that piperlongumine was it's binding with our DNA on the groups. And finally, to put the nail on this coffin, I have not included the images. We did actually the time images also, where we can see the strands of DNA, and they were kind of aggregated in presence of our piperlongumine. So this is all my conclusion part, and we concluded that piperlongumine possesses genomic instability potential and reduces cyclophosphamide associated damage, oxidative stress, and neurotoxicity. Also diminishes DNA damage response pathway in the rat model, and at the same time conserving the microarchitectural details of hippocampus, which were deteriorated as a secondary pathological consequences of genotoxic exposure. And further studies should be conducted by taking DNA repair machinery in rats. So these all these experiments were the part of my doctoral studies, and I wish to continue these experiments by taking DNA machinery in mind. So this was about my presentation. I am free to take questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful session. that you have given on this chemotherapy related topic. So, anyone having question related to this topic can ask it to Dr. Vishali ma'am right now. Anyone having question
Okay. So
related
there
to
is
this
a,
topic? Just
yeah,
ask
there
it.
is a question whether you performed it clinically or not. Ompi Kumari, I have not performed these clinically, but somewhat I have like kind of done ex vivo studies. I took out the human lymphocytes. Are Like I took out the whole blood of human healthy volunteers and tested the genotoxicity of this compound in human lymphocytes. So that there we got some positive results. Obviously, Piper longimen is kind of very it's a isolated moiety. It needs to go we need to dig in a little further before we can translate it. Thank you.
Anyone else having question? Just drop that in chat box.
Thank you, Dr. Vishali. It was a wonderful session from your side. I hope everyone will have their own grabbing knowledge from this. Apart from it, I would like to thanks Mr. Sunny Chauhan also uh, for participate in this and everyone, the team of Scientific Era. So, Dr. Vishali, I'm having a one question. Uh,
Yeah.
as I've been working in traditional system of Indian medicine system. So, what are the aspects, as you mentioned, some of the traditional plants also that can cure and having some potent effect towards cancer? So, can you suggest some, oriented or phytochemical species that has been potent, and some of them, if unreported?
Okay, so unreported, like you can see our like we have our Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia. So you just scroll down that Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia and see what ethnopharmacological uses has been indicated in that pharmacopoeia. And you can see like Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia mein everything will be in Sanskrit. So you translate it to the Hindi. And then
Okay,
you will get many plants जिनका अभी तक scientific validation नहीं हुआ है.
okay.
So that comes under our ethnopharmacological relevance.
Because I'm
That
working on a manuscript review article where I have to put some, unreported traditional aspects of plants that has been very curatable effect for cancer.
yeah.
So,
So
okay,
so this actually Piper longimen is also has anti-cancer potential. So ये
okay,
इसका तो like दोनों तरीके से benefit होगा. It can have anti-cancer effect also and it can prevent the side effects also. लेकिन ये जो the study that I conducted, this was done only in normal rats. हमको अब
okay.
cancer model में भी इसको check करना होगा. So there's a lot of validation, lot of scope for research. Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia में there are number of plants which are given, जिनका traditional use हम उनको इस तरीके से करते हैं. जिन even formulations भी Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia में दिया गया है. त्रिकुटा वगैरह जो है वो बहुत simple formulations हैं. जिनका अभी
Hmm.
भी scientific कोई validation available नहीं है. So we can always go for exploring them.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable suggestions and knowledge. I hope we all get something from it. And back to Abrar, sir.
Uh, I hope all the questions have been answered very well, and I want to thank you everyone for their active participation in today's webinar. I think we have gained valuable insights into the challenges that has been posed by the genomic instability and we can say its implications in chemotherapy. And we have also explored innovative strategies to address these challenges. And I think thanks to the expertise of our esteemed speaker, Dr. Vaishali Yadav, and the efforts of our organizing team. And I want to uh, heartfelt thank you to our team like Mr. Sudhanshu Kumarja, our organizing secretary, for his vision and leadership in bringing this webinar to life. Dr. Vaishali Yadav for sharing her profound knowledge and practical insights. Mr. Sunny Chauhan, our convener, and Ms. Sadhna Patel, Ms. Swati ma'am, and our coordinator and co-coordinator for their, I think, dedicated efforts in ensuring the smooth execution of this event. And I think we hope this session has been informative and thought-provoking. Let this discussion inspire us to, we can say, continue exploring innovative solutions and collaborating to advance healthcare. And one thing I want to mention here, just for any updates on upcoming events that will be organized by the Scientific Era, which are related to the seminars, webinars, or conferences, or publications, we can see, and initiatives by the Scientific Era, please stay connected with us. And we are going to share with you a feedback form. Just share your feedback so that it's invaluable in helping us improve and curate meaningful sessions. And once again, thank you all for joining us today. Stay safe, stay curious, and let's continue to make strides in improving our lives through research and innovation. And have a great day. Thank you again.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. There is one question, so I like to answer that. It's a very good question. The question is there is variability in patient response to various chemotherapeutic drugs. How does your research address the variability? Like there are maybe different response in different patients. So I like to take this question. It's a very good question. Actually, when I was searching the literature for my studies, also I came across this point many a times. And to address this variability, this is obviously not answered in my research, but if you want to address this question, what you can do is, you can, it's a simple, very simple experiments, but you can just take the like from a group of population, you can obtain various lymphocytes or whole blood, you can take from the healthy volunteers, and then you can just screen that blood profile with the sequencing, and then you can after profiling the blood cells, you will see various types of expression in different population. You can then subgroup these you can divide these whatever whatever categories you have got, you can divide these and then check the effect of various combination of cancer drugs on these blood cells. So it's a kind of very simple experiments, but it takes a lot of a very extensive research needs to be done on this topic. And the students from, like, I think IGIB Delhi, their students are doing research on this kind, because for addressing the variability in population, we need to have the knowledge of bioinformatics also. So only a pharma or a life science person cannot do it, but a combination of interdisciplinary team can address this. So it's a very big question, and pharmacogenomics is kind of the new field which is working towards this issue, and hopefully in the future we can come up with some solution. Thank you.
Thank you once again, ma'am, for this wonderful session. And your certificate said that will be sent to everyone within a few days. And we are going to share a feedback form in which there is a link of WhatsApp group. You can join that WhatsApp group to stay connected with us, and maybe you will get certificates over there. Thank you again for all joining us today. Thank you so much for everyone.
Okay, thank you team, thank you so much Scientific Era for
Thank you,
giving
ma'am.
this.
Thank you.
I hope we can have like many lectures like this in the future. I just we really have very good interacting students. They are asking very good questions. So this kind of instigates insight uh, uh, our researchers also. So I hope we can collaborate in future. Thank you.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Sure, ma'am.
Scholars to create a community where knowledge flourishes and ideas spark new possibilities. And I think today's event wouldn't have been possible without the relentless efforts of a talented team. Our first team member, that is Mr. Sudhanshu Kumar Jha, who is our organizing secretary, is currently a scientist at the All India Institute of Ayurveda, Government of India, New Delhi. And he serves as the founder, chairperson, editor in chief of Scientific Era, a research and development firm officially which has been inaugurated by the Honorable Shri Shripad Yesso Naik, Minister of State for New and Renewable Energy, Government of India. And Mr. Jha also holds the position of research and development director at Hubs Ayurveda. He has been honored with the prestigious Young Researcher Award 2024. He has almost published over 25 research articles in the prestigious journals. And I think his contribution include 5 book chapters, 3 authored books on international platforms, and one publication on Amazon. He also holds 9 published patents, 2 copyrights, 5 Indian design grants, and 2 international design patents from the United Kingdom. I think Mr. Jha he has actively participated in over 60 national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, uh, that shows his commitment to research, societal betterment, and national sustainable development. Our next team member, that is Mr. Sunny Chauhan, our convener, who is working as a research associate at Jubilant Bioseas Limited, Noida. I think for his invaluable contributions to today's session. Ms. Sadhna Patel, our coordinator, head supervisor of research and development at Scientific Era, for seamlessly orchestrating the logistics of this event. And our Ms. Swati Singh, our co-coordinator, who is working as head coordinator for research and projects at Scientific Era. And of course, the highlight of today's webinar, that's our eminent speaker, Dr. Vishali Yadav, who is working as an associate professor at Department of Pharmacology, Adina Institute of Pharmaceutical Science, Madhya Pradesh. Uh, Before proceeding the session, I would like to invite Mr. Sunny Chauhan, our esteemed convener, to provide a brief introduction about our eminent speaker, Dr. Vaishali Yadav. So, Mr. Chauhan, over to you. Please proceed.
Thank you, Abrar sir, for your gracious introduction and the great opportunity provides to me by Scientific Era team and especially Mr. Sudhanshu Kumar Jha. Your kind words have set a positive tone for today's session. I appreciate your support and I look forward to the insightful discussion that we will follow. Dr. Vaishali Yadav is an academic and researcher in the field of pharmacology and genomics, currently serving as an associate professor at Adina Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Sagar, Madhya Pradesh. She is dedicated to advancing pharmaceutical education and research. She earned her PhD in pharmacology from Jamia Hamdard, New Delhi, and she worked towards screening of therapeutics to combat chemotherapy-associated sequels, especially genomics instability events in rat tissues. Furthermore, the association of genomic instability events in progression of age-related disease like Alzheimer was explored. She completed her M.Pharma from IIT BHU Varanasi and B.Pharm degree from BNS Institute of Pharmacy Bhopal. After that, Dr. Yadav has made significant study in pharmacological research with many high-impact factor publications, and her research primarily revolves around genomic stability, oxidative stress, senolytics, and neuroprotective pharmacology. Dr. Yadav's contribution to science have more recognized through several awards, including the Young Pharmacologist Award 2023. She has also received fellowship from Indian Council of Medical Research and Silver Jubilee Fellowship of Jamia Hamdard. Beyond her professional achievement, Dr. Yadav is deeply committed to mentorship, fostering the next generation of pharmacological scientists. She remains a dedicated member of Indian Pharmacological Society and continues to explore innovative solutions to pressing biomedical challenges. Now I am invited to Dr. Vaishali Yadav to represent the webinar on the topic targeted genomic instability to combat chemotherapy associated sequel.
Thank you, everyone. This is Dr. Vaishali. Thank you, Scientist Era, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you, team, for this lovely introduction. Is my slide visible to everyone?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll present one more time. So is it visible now? Just a second. Visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you, team. Thank you, the team of Scientific Era, for introducing me. I like to extend my regards to Mr. Sudhanshu Kumar Jha, who is currently a scientist at All India Institute of Ayurveda, Government of India, New Delhi, and serves as a founder, chairperson, and editor-in-chief at Scientific Era, a research and development firm officially inaugurated by Honorable Shri Shripad Nayak ji, the Minister of State for New and Renewable Energy, Government of India. Mr. Jha also holds position of researcher and development director at Herbs Ayurveda. Thank you, team, and thank you, Sudhanshu, for giving me this stage so that I can share my some just a small research. And I hope that the students who have joined are mainly from the UG and PG background. So hopefully they will be able to have an insight that how we can conduct our research, and how the products are developed in the pharmacy world, or even if you wish to go for the basic research also. So shall I continue presenting?
Uh, Sorry, ma'am, to interrupt you, ma'am. Let me just highlight one point here. Uh, while the session is going on, please just keep your microphones muted to ensure a smooth and uninterrupted session. And किसी को अगर question होगा, please drop that in chat box, and that will be answered at the end of the session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I'll start the presentation. The topic has been introduced by the teammates of Scientist Era. I'll again just brief it. This is targeting genomic instability to combat chemotherapy associated sequel. Briefly, I'll tell you what I'll be covering in this presentation. Cancer is something which we treat with the chemotherapeutic agents, and I wish to develop a adjuvant that can be given with the chemotherapy to the patients, so that the life survivor of the patients and the quality of life of the cancer patients can be improved. So for developing a adjuvant, what all experiments I have done, and how I have concluded that yes, this can be added as an adjuvant for the clinical studies, that I will be covering in this session. So this work is actually I have already published, and some part remains unpublished. So I'll be sharing many aspects, and students can feel free at the end of the session to ask questions, and I'll try to explain in a very simple and layman language, so that the undergraduate students can also understand how the experiments are being conducted and how they are designed, keeping our objective in mind. Everyone is aware of cancer. These are uncontrollable cell division, which is harmful to our body, and we wish to eliminate these cells from our body. So now the cancer is becoming the leading cause of deaths worldwide, and it accounts nearly for 10 million deaths in 2022, or we can say that it's nearly 1 in 6 deaths. So this data is given by WHO, and this stats is causing severe economic burden to developing as well as developed countries. So to remove these cancer cells, what we have developed, what scientists has developed, are the anti-cancer drugs. तो ये जो एंटी कैंसर ड्रग्स हैं, इनको हम कंबाइनली कीमोथेरेपी कहते हैं, एंड दीज आर ये जो एंटी कैंसर ड्रग्स हैं, इनका बहुत एक बड़ी क्लास है, दे आर बिग क्लास, एंड डिपेंडिंग ऑन कि पेशेंट की क्या कंडीशंस हैं, उनको किस ऑर्गन स्पेसिफिक में कैंसरस सेल्स स्प्रेड हो रहे हैं, विच टाइप ऑफ कैंसर इट इज़, बेनाइन, मैलिग्नेंट, एंड अ लॉट ऑफ क्लिनिकल ऑब्जर्वेशंस के बाद डॉक्टर्स जो हैं वो कीमोथेरेपी स्टार्ट करते हैं. अब जब कीमोथेरेपी स्टार्ट होती है टू क्योर द कैंसर, ये यूजुअली वीकली कई मंथ्स तक कंटिन्यू होती है। मोस्टली जितनी भी हमारे पास एंटी कैंसर ड्रग्स हैं इन्हें हम इंजेक्टेबल फॉर्म्स में देते हैं एंड द पेशेंट हैज़ टू रीच टू हिज नियर क्लिनिक टू रिसीव दिस कीमोथेरेपी। सो आप इस सेंटर वाली डायग्राम में देख सकते हैं देयर आर मेनी क्लासेस एंड मेनी ड्रग्स in which anti-cancer drugs are classified. Like we have anti-metabolites and the very common alkylating agents. We have many compounds from the vinca alkaloids, then taxanes we have. So a wide range of anti-cancer classes are given. हमारा कंसर्न कहाँ पर शुरू होता है कि हम कैंसर सेल्स को तो अपनी बॉडी से रिमूव कर देते हैं, कीमोथेरेपेटिक्स आर वेरी एफिशिएंट एट दैट, वो कैंसर सेल्स को बॉडी के बाहर एलिमिनेट कर देता है, बट एट द सेम टाइम वो जो हमारा नॉर्मल टिश्यूज होते हैं दे प्रोड्यूस वेरी हार्मफुल इफेक्ट टू द नॉर्मल टिश्यूज, जिसकी वजह से इवन इफ द पेशेंट इज एबल टू सर्वाइव द कैंसर बट देन ऑल्सो उनका जो क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ है वो बहुत कम हो जाता है, वो बहुत डिग्रेड हो जाता है। तो जो कैंसर सर्वाइविंग पेशेंट्स हैं, हमें कैंसर को ट्रीट करना ही एक हमारा एम नहीं है। हमारा एम साथ में ये भी है कि जब पेशेंट कैंसर को कॉम्बैट कर चुका है तो उसका जो क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ है दैट शुड बी इम्प्रूव्ड। ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि कैंसर सेल्स तो बॉडी से एलिमिनेट हो चुकी हैं बट देन देयर आर मेनी अदर प्रॉब्लम्स व्हिच अ पेशेंट इज फेसिंग। तो इसके लिए व्हाट आई हैव डन इज लाइक इन दिस ऑन द राइट साइड ऑफ द स्लाइड you can see there is a chemoman and you can see that there are many chemotherapeutic agents like doxorubicin, carboplatin, then there is bleomycin, then there is cyclophosphamide. These are all anti-cancer drugs and they have various different types of, they are used in different conditions of cancer and they produce different kinds of side effects. So what I thought during my research studies that everyone tries to डेवलप कैंसर ड्रग्स डेवलप करने की कोशिश करते हैं बट एट द सेम टाइम हमारा जो क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ ऑफ पेशेंट्स है उसके बारे में नो वन इज गिविंग अ थॉट और देयर इज वेरी लिमिटेड रिसर्च टू दैट। सो like I wish to develop the agents जो आपकी कीमोथेरेपी के साथ हम एज एडजुवेंट दे सकते हैं, एज एन एडिटिव एजेंट दे सकते हैं दैट रिड्यूसेस द साइड इफेक्ट्स ऑफ कीमोथेरेपी। आप लेफ्ट साइड में देख सकते हैं स्लाइड के the side effects of chemotherapy on body are they are in huge amount like इनमें से कोई भी अगर आप कीमोथेरेपेटिक एजेंट लेते हैं whether it is doxorubicin, it is bleomycin, that is cyclophosphamide, कोई भी आपकी कीमोथेरेपी है it is able to cause severe side effects in brain, liver.
Please ask question, Sunny sir. Ma'am, Sunny sir, ask some question.
Okay, so
No,
question
sir,
should
it
be
is an error.
okay, I'll
You
start.
just continue, ma'am.
Okay, I'll continue. So there are fertility issues, then there are kidney issues, there's loss of appetite, nausea and vomiting are the common ones, and even the long-term effect of chemotherapy are able to produce its side effects on the bone also. तो एंजाइटी, डिप्रेशन एंड व्हाट वी इन सब सारे साइड इफेक्ट्स को अगर हम कंबाइन कर दे तो विल कॉल दीज साइड इफेक्ट्स एट कीमोमैन. So we have chemo brain, we have chemo liver. So like this I think आपको मेरा पॉइंट समझ में आ गया होगा कि कीमोथेरेपी के देयर आर लॉट नंबर ऑफ साइड इफेक्ट्स एंड व्हाट आई विश इज कि हम कोई ऐसा एडजुवेंट तैयार कर सके जो कि इन कीमोथेरेपेटिक साइड इफेक्ट्स को काउंट कर सके. So this was actually the main motive of my research. I have dedicated I'm working on this research since 2015 and I have मैंने बहुत अलग अलग तरीके की टेक्निक्स और इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच यूज करने की कोशिश की है टू कम टू अ कंक्लूजन. So one thing is clear. Okay, another thing I want to highlight is ये जो जितनी भी एंटी कैंसर ड्रग्स हैं आप देख सकते हो जो स्लाइड का पॉइंट है ये मेनली हमारे डीएनए को जो है वो इम्पैक्ट करते हैं. तो इनका मैकेनिज्म ऑफ एक्शन क्या होता है एंटी कैंसर ड्रग्स का? ये हमारे डीएनए को टारगेट करके एंड दे रिमूव दीज सेल्स फ्रॉम द बॉडी. So DNA damaging is what it is, genotoxicity. So this genotoxicity can be observed in cancer cells as well as our normal non-cancer cells also. So genotoxicity is something which is associated with the chemotherapeutic exposure. So among all the drugs that I have previously shown, I have selected one drug which is cyclophosphamide. It is very widely used agent. It is used in the breast, especially in the breast cancer patients. It is one of the immunosuppressive agent also. So the main mechanism of cyclophosphamide revolves around the DNA damage. In the cancer cells, it produces DNA damage and removes the cancerous cells. But at the same time, what we have observed in patients is most of the patients suffers from hepatotoxicity and neurotoxicity after exposure to the cyclophosphamide. और ये साइक्लोफॉस्फेमाइड सिर्फ अकेले पेशेंट्स में ही नहीं अपने साइड इफेक्ट्स प्रोड्यूस कर पाती है, ये इवन जो नर्सेज इन साइक्लोफॉस्फेमाइड ड्रग्स के साथ एक्सपोज होते हैं, इनके डर्मल एक्सपोजर से भी उन नर्सेज को जो है वो जीनोटॉक्सिसिटी associated होती है. Genotoxicity is our DNA damage. So like many scientists has given a thought on the hepatotoxicity and neurotoxicity of this cyclophosphamide. Some scientists have said that immunological dysfunction, inflammatory response, or maybe apoptosis is something which is related with the hepatotoxicity and neurotoxicity. तो मैं what we wish is, हमने सोचा कि अगर हम साइक्लोफॉस्फेमाइड का दिस पार्ट, डीएनए डैमेजिंग पार्ट, इफ वी कैन स्टेबलाइज आवर जीनोम of normal cells, we will be able to encounter or combat the side effects of cyclophosphamide in our normal tissues also. So like this, these are some of the papers you can see on the right side of the panel, that human cells or the human exposure, whenever cytotoxic drugs, anti-cancer drugs are there, a large number of genotoxicity is observed. So whenever these lesions which are associated with DNA damage, they get accumulated in the normal tissues, this results in various pathologies including neurotoxicity and hepatotoxicity. So what I did is we tried to develop therapy to mitigate these toxicity. So that will be critical for clinical implication of cyclophosphamide as well as other chemotherapeutics also. So for this point, I'll come later. I'll explain what this part is. तो अब एक ऐसा adjuvant तैयार करने के लिए जो कि इस साइक्लोफॉस्फेमाइड के जीनोटॉक्सिक साइड इफेक्ट्स को रिवर्स कर सके, what I did is I dig deep into our Ayurvedic literature. So Ayurvedic literature से हमें ये पता चला कि लॉन्ग पेपर, ये आप पिक्चर, this long में एक एनालॉग है ब्लैक पेपर की, which is used widely. तो इसके कुछ कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स है. इस लॉन्ग पेपर को हम पाइपर लॉन्गम कहते हैं. मैं इस प्लांट में अपने 2013 से वर्क कर रही हूँ. सो 2013 से मैंने इस लॉन्ग पेपर का एक्सट्रैक्ट बनाया था एंड आई आइसोलेटेड सम moieties. So piperine and piper longum are the two moieties which are isolated from this long pepper. So what we searched is piperine has, in literature it has shown some effectiveness, but piper longum is something which is much safe, better, and piper longum is something which has shown it's a very new compound, and it has a good antioxidant, good anti-inflammatory properties. It has shown hepatoprotection as well as neuroprotection. So we thought that this may also stabilize. We'll see if this can stabilize the genomic instability part or not. So this is the chemical structure of piper longum. दिस इज लाइक पाइपरलॉन्गिमन, मैंने आपको पहले भी बताया, इट्स आइसोलेटेड कंपाउंड फ्रॉम द लॉन्ग पेपर। जो काली मिर्ची होती है लंबी वाली, उससे हम इसे आइसोलेट करते हैं। और आयुर्वेदा लिटरेचर में एक्चुअली इसके हैं कुछ रेफरेंसेस वेयर इट हैज शोन कि जो लॉन्ग पेपर है वो हमारी बॉडी से डिटॉक्सिफिकेशन का काम करती है। सो दैट काइंड ऑफ गिव अस एज कि यस दैट वी कैन स्टार्ट लाइक स्क्रीनिंग दिस कंपाउंड। ऑब्वियसली हमने अपने माइंड में दो ऑब्जेक्टिव्स प्रिपेयर किए रिवॉल्विंग दिस होल फसाड। सो फर्स्ट वाज to investigate anti-genotoxic potential of piperlongum against cyclophosphamide induced DNA damage. So anti-genotoxic, or we can say the genome stabilizing potential. And then obviously if we wish to go for translational approach, अगर हमें इसे पेशेंट्स को यूज करना है तो हमें इसका सेफ्टी पैरामीटर्स जो है वो स्टैब्लिश करना होगा। सो हर जरूरी नहीं है कि हम हर कंपाउंड का सेफ्टी टॉक्सिसिटी स्टडीज को जो है वो परफॉर्म करें। ओनली द न्यू कंपाउंड्स, द न्यू एंटिटीज नीड टू बी चेक फॉर द टॉक्सिसिटी स्टडीज, एंड दीज आर mostly they are performed according to the OECD guidelines, and I'll talk about these guidelines in next slides. So this slides I like the students to please focus on this slide. I'll explain one by one. It's a bit crowdy slide. What I wish to do is पाइपरलॉन्गिमन को मुझे टेस्ट करना है अगेंस्ट साइक्लोफॉस्फामाइड डीएनए डैमेज। तो हमने सबसे पहले हम ड्रग डेवलपमेंट में हमें कभी ये नहीं बोला जाता कि डायरेक्टली वी गो फॉर लाइक रोडेंट टेस्टिंग और इन वाइवो स्टडीज हम यूज करें। हम पहले इन्हें सेल कल्चर में यूज करते हैं, या इवन बेटर इफ वी हमें अगर कुछ सेल फ्री मीडियम अगर हम इसमें टेस्ट कर सकें। तो सबसे पहले हमने पाइपरलॉन्गिमन को सेल फ्री मीडियम में यूज किया, सेल फ्री मीडियम में टेस्ट किया। सेल फ्री मीडियम यानी कि अगर हम अपने सेल अगर हम बॉडी अगर एक पेट्री प्लेट में सेल्स को कल्चर करते हैं तो दैट इज समथिंग वी रेफर टू एज सेल कल्चर और द इन विट्रो स्टडीज। बट इफ वी डू नॉट हैव सेल एट ऑल, ओनली द फिजियोलॉजिकल सॉल्यूशन, देन वी रेफर टू एज एट सेल फ्री मीडियम। सो आई विल एक्सप्लेन हाउ आई टेस्टेड in the cell free medium, and then afterwards we went on screening its toxicity, और फिर हमने इसे रोडेंट मॉडल ऑफ जीनोमिक इंस्टेबिलिटी में यूज किया। तो सबसे पहले आई विल एक्सप्लेन अबाउट द सेल फ्री medium in the next slides. So these are the results of cell free medium. सेल फ्री मीडियम में मैंने जैसे आपको बताया, सेल फ्री मीडियम क्या होता है कि हम इसमें सेल्स यूज नहीं करते हैं, और बिकॉज हमें पाइपरलॉन्गिमन का जीनोटॉक्सिक पोटेंशियल, जीनोम स्टेबलाइजिंग पोटेंशियल देखना था, तो हमें एक बहुत अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी दिखी इस एसे में। इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल एसे, इवन द बी फार्म द स्टूडेंट्स हु आर परसुइंग यूजी पीजी दे कैन परफॉर्म इन देयर लैब्स। बहुत इजी एसे होता है। सो व्हाट दिस assay has, हमारे पास प्लाज्मिड था, पी ब्लू स्क्रिप्ट एसके डीएनए, एसके नेगेटिव का डीएनए लिया हमने इस प्लाज्मिड को जो है वो ई कोलाई सेल्स में ग्रो किया। दिस प्रोसीजर इज usually done in the microbiology lab, and the biotechnology people, they are very familiar with this procedure. हाँ, हमने इसको प्लाज्मिड को ग्रो किया एंड वी आइसोलेटेड इट्स डीएनए। हमने प्लाज्मिड डीएनए ही क्यों यूज किया, हम ह्यूमन डीएनए भी यूज कर सकते थे, राइट? बट ह्यूमन डीएनए एंड अदर फॉर्म्स ऑफ डीएनए, दे आर वेरी उनका जो केबी होता है वो बहुत ज्यादा हाई होता है, जो मॉलिक्यूलर वेट होता है। प्लाज्मिड डीएनए समथिंग जो काफी उनका मॉलिक्यूलर वेट काफी कम होता है। सो वी वेंट अहेड विद द प्लाज्मिड डीएनए। हमने प्लाज्मिड डीएनए को जेल में रन किया एंड वी सी, हमें इसमें ना 3 फॉर्म्स दिखते हैं जब भी हम प्लाज्मिड डीएनए को जेल में रन करते हैं। एक हमें सुपर कॉइल डीएनए दिखता है, एक हमें सर्कुलर डीएनए दिखता है इन द मिडिल, एंड देन वी सी अ नॉर्मल ओपन फॉर्म ऑफ द डीएनए। ये हमें जेल में बहुत इजीली दिखता है। दीज बैंड्स एक्चुअली आर द, ये डीएनए को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं, ये जो आपको व्हाइट बैंड्स दिख रहे हैं। सो दिस वाज द कंट्रोल लेन, नॉर्मल प्लाज्मिड था। फिर हमने सेकंड लेन में जो है वो H2O2 ऐड किया, हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड। दिस इज कॉमनली अवेलेबल इन लैब्स, और ये करता क्या है H2O2, ये जो H2O2 होता है ये हमारा जो सुपर कॉइल्ड, हमको पता है H2O2 एयर के साथ रिएक्ट करके ऑक्सीडाइज करके और फिर जो ऑक्सीजन मॉइटीज होते हैं, फ्री रेडिकल्स होते हैं, उनको रिलीज करते हैं। और ये जो फ्री रेडिकल्स होते हैं ये हमारे बायोमोलिक्यूल्स सच एज डीएनए और प्रोटीन्स, इनके साथ जो है वो काम करके रिएक्ट करके इनको डैमेज कर देते हैं। सो हमारे सेकेंड लेन में क्या हुआ, जब हमने H2O2 डाला इस डीएनए के अंदर, सो यू कैन सी दैट ये जो सुपर कॉइल्ड फॉर्म ऑफ डीएनए था ना, ये पूरा लाइक यू कैन सी यहाँ पर कुछ बचा ही नहीं है, ये पूरा वैनिश हो गया। सो व्हाट दिस रिप्रेजेंट इज कि हमारे H2O2 ने सारा जो स्टेबल फॉर्म ऑफ डीएनए था उसको डिग्रेड कर, लेकिन हमने आगे की लेंस जो थी उसमें हमारा इंक्रीजिंग कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ पाइपर लॉन्ग्यूमेन ऐड किया, एंड टू आवर सरप्राइज वी फाउंड दैट पाइपर लॉन्ग्यूमेन के ऐड होने की वजह से हमें एक्चुअली स्टेबल फॉर्म ऑफ डीएनए ये लास्ट लेन में दिखाई देने लगा। सो दिस काइंड ऑफ गेव अस अ प्राइमरी एविडेंस कि हमने एक्चुअली सिर्फ पाइपर लॉन्ग्यूमेन ही नहीं, ऑल कंपाउंड्स साथ में स्क्रीन किए थे, जिसमें हमें थोड़ा एक हेड्स अप मिला था लिटरेचर में, बट पाइपर लॉन्ग्यूमेन वाज द वन व्हिच शोड अस द बेस्ट इफेक्ट। सो वी वेंट, सो दिस काइंड ऑफ इज अ सेल्फ फ्री स्टडी। तो इससे हमें एक एविडेंस मिला दैट यस दिस कंपाउंड कैन स्टेबलाइज आवर डीएनए। सो आई वेंट अहेड and then we proceeded towards the in vivo studies. So I'll show how we designed in vivo studies. जो यहाँ पर UG और PG के students हैं मैं उनको बताती हूँ. So this one is a rodent model of genomic instability. हम क्या करते हैं इन विवो स्टडीज में, वी टेक स्पेसिफाइड नंबर ऑफ एनिमल्स, उनको हम अलग अलग ग्रुप्स में भी डिवाइड देम इनटू। सो इन द फर्स्ट ग्रुप इट्स लाइक द कंट्रोल ग्रुप, जिसमें हम कोई भी ट्रीटमेंट नहीं देते हैं, वी गिव ओनली द व्हीकल, एंड देन द अदर ग्रुप ऑब्वियसली we wish to compare with the cyclophosphamide. So we gave the 5 mg per kg dose of cyclophosphamide. How did we obtain this dose? ये जो डोज था ये हमें मिला था, हमने ह्यूमन डोज साइक्लोफॉस्फामाइड का पेशेंट्स में यूज किया जाता है, उसको भी कन्वर्टेड इनटू द into our rat dose. तो हमें इससे जो है वो साइक्लोफॉस्फामाइड का 5 mg डोज मिला, which is similar to the human dose. And then we took some what can I say, some pilot study we done, and we found that 50 mg per kg was a suitable dose which can be used for our genomic instability studies. एक ग्रुप में हमने सिर्फ पाइपर लॉन्ग्यूमेन दिया, and in the last group we gave combination of cyclophosphamide plus piper longumine. फिर जैसे मैंने आपको स्लाइड के स्टार्टिंग में बताया था, हाँ, आई वॉज फोकसिंग मोर ऑन द न्यूरोटॉक्सिसिटी एंड ऑन द हेपेटोटॉक्सिसिटी. सो वी सैक्रिफाइस द एनिमल्स आफ्टर अ 28 days पीरियड, एंड देन वी टेस्टेड वेरियस पैरामीटर्स, जिससे हमें पता चला, हमने ब्रेन में और लिवर में इन पैरामीटर्स को चेक किया, तो जिससे हम देख सकते थे टॉक्सिसिटी, नॉर्मल टॉक्सिसिटी भी हमने देखी और हमने जीनोटॉक्सिसिटी को भी एवेल्युएट किया. एक चीज और है, लाइक साइक्लोफॉस्फामाइड एक जीनोटॉक्सिक एजेंट है, ये कॉमनली नोन है. व्हाई? बिकॉज इट्स मैकेनिज्म ही उसके चारों अराउंड डील करता है. तो द फर्स्ट इंडिकेशन वी ऑफ अ जीनोटॉक्सिक एजेंट कि हाँ ये जीनोटॉक्सिसिटी प्रोड्यूस कर सकता है इन रैट्स, दैट वी ऑलवेज गेट फ्रॉम द मेमेलियन एरिथ्रोसाइट माइक्रोन्यूक्लियस टेस्ट. आई विल एक्सप्लेन हाउ. सो These are the results of in vivo studies. हमने क्या किया, मैंने आपको बताया, हमने साइक्लोफॉस्फामाइड को सबसे पहले हमें ये चेक करना होगा कि हम whether our cyclophosphamide is producing prominent genotoxicity or not. उसके लिए we did this primary test which is called as erythrocyte micronucleus test. हम सबको पता है RBCs में न्यूक्लियस नहीं होता, but if it at any point अगर कोई डीएनए डैमेज है, सो आरबीसीज में वी कैन सी अ स्मॉल न्यूक्लियस इन द माइक्रोस्कोपिक स्लाइड इफ देयर इज सम काइंड ऑफ डीएनए डैमेज व्हिच इज काइंड ऑफ लेफ्ट ओवर फ्रॉम द left over after the cell division is done. So this is kind of representative diagram कि bone marrows में ही हमारे RBCs develop होते हैं and they undergo cell division, and these RBCs are then circulated into the blood. these RBCs, they do not contain any nucleus after maturation stage is achieved. However, if there is a DNA damage, तो एक micronucleus जो है वो हमें हर stage पर देखने को मिलता है, and that can be also observed in circulating blood. So the chances of coming to circulatory blood is very less. तो इसलिए हमने directly bone marrow cells को ही retrieve किया. As we sacrificed the animals in the last, we took out the bone marrow and then we spreaded these bone marrow cells, RBCs, over the slide. And you can see that the slides look like kind of this. So in these cells, if you look very closely, some of the cells, they contain a very small nucleus. This was the micronuclei, and we counted these. When we counted these in male separately and in female separately, and what we observed is कि cyclophosphamide में group में treated group में we can see a large number of micronuclei, but when we check these micronuclei when piperlongumine was given in combination, so this kind of there was a slight reduction in the micronucleus formation due to piperlongumine, or just a small significant reduction was there, but there was some kind of reduction. You can see that 14% only and 24% reduction was there. So this was our primary indication that piperlongumine can stabilize the cyclophosphamide induced DNA damage. So after this, because the whole concept revolves around the DNA fragmentation, we tested in not only in the bone marrow on the erythrocyte, we further proceeded to check the DNA fragmentation in liver and the hippocampus, which is the part of brain. Why we went for hippocampus? Brain में हम cortex भी use कर सकते थे, but hippocampus is something which is related with memory loss. और cyclophosphamide treated patients में हम cognitive deficient काफी अच्छे से हमें clinical studies में देखने को मिलता है, इसलिए we took hippocampus. तो हमने देखा लाइक यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हो ये लाइक कल यहाँ पर यूजी पीजी के स्टूडेंट्स होंगे, तो एक ग्राफ रीड करना मैं आपको बता सकती हूँ इन अ वेरी क्विक मैनर. सो दीज longitudinal graphs, they represent various groups. See, I have mentioned control group, cyclophosphamide group, piperlongumine treated group, and cyclophosphamide plus piperlongumine treated group. So this was all the male groups and they were the female groups. So we actually took the data separately. We tested males separately and females separately, and the number of animals were 5 in each group. So there is a reason why we select number of animals. So OECD guidelines have kind of shown us that 5 number of animals for male and female will be sufficient to produce a statistical data. So we took 5 animals in each group. We calculated their mean and then plotted them on this graph. So you can see a comparison. This is the percentage of DNA damage. And how this percentage of DNA damage was tested? This is a very simple test. Like in my research, I literally have at the beginning of my research, I was not having much of fellowship. I was just receiving my institutional fellowship, which is actually a prestigious fellowship, but the amount was not very high. So I was just taking the chemicals which are normally available in the lab, and then testing them whether this can fit into my aim or not. So I came across a very easy assay, I could say, that is colorimetric method. So this can easily be done in your lab. It's a complete protocol. If students wish, I will share them with you can have my email ID and you can write it to me. I'll share how these protocols are being done. It's a very simple assay, the UG students can also perform. So what we did is this colorimetric assay kind of gave us the